Is Manor Lords the answer to your civ building prayers? Let's dive right in with NTN. This is Green, and I just want to prepare everyone that watches this video that I have little to no experience with civilization builders. To think of it, the only thing I can really consider remotely close to a civilization builder that I've played would be Age of Empires 2 and a City Tycoon, Roller Coaster Tycoon back in the olden days, and I mean way back. Like back when you were lucky you had internet, and it would scream at you in an angry phone language for 5 minutes, and then sweet 5 kilobits per second was your gateway to the world. And it was wild times, kids. Wild times. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and break down the game. Manor Lords was developed by Slavic Magic and published by Hooded Horse. The game was released to early access on April 26th and is available to play right now on Steam and Xbox Game Pass. The minimum specs required are an Intel Core i5-4670 or AMD FX 4350, 8 gigs of RAM, and an NVIDIA GTX 1050 or AMD RX 460. There are 3 different game modes to choose from called scenarios that vary in difficulty and combat level. At the start of the game, you get the basic introduction. Your camp has a few families that are there to start building and settling your territory. Families are needed in order to build up and operate your village, so keep that in mind when building. There are several different buildings that are available at the start, ranging from woodcutting huts, homes, and farms all the way up to your manor. The priority of what is to be built first is completely up to you. Just be aware that if you use all your initial timber on anything but a timber building, you automatically lose the game, because you can't gain more timber without that building. The basic premise is to assign the buildings and therefore tasks to each family in your control. Some commodities are in short supply, like berries in the foraging area and wild animals in the hunting areas. So you will need to keep an eye on the levels and set gathering limits accordingly. Food and fuel have a very high priority and have an indication of how much supply of each is built up for the size of your village. Make sure you keep up with this, because it can easily change and have a disastrous consequence. The farming mechanic is very interesting in this game. Forestation and soil conditions play a big factor in crop growth and processing. There is even a crop rotation process and field burning mechanic. Don't be afraid to experiment with this process to find what works best for your territory. Villagers can also be assigned to a militia, which, depending on your selected scenario, will be needed to combat raiders and rival lords. Equipment and housing will be needed for your militia, so be mindful about building trading posts and homes if you intend to create a sizable army. Once you have a good hold on housing and resources, you'll want to build up your manor and influence. Building your manor gives you access to tithes, taxes, and more to build your wealth as well as influence. Influence is needed to claim new territories and thus growing your hold on the region. Be very careful with these game mechanics though. Villagers have an approval rating system that is heavily swayed by taxes and tithes or food donations to the church system, so it will take a big cut out of your actual stock. Lastly, one of the coolest features in my opinion is the option to physically enter first person and explore your created village. This is a super fun concept that I haven't really seen in games and would love to see implemented in more IPs. I'd love to see something like this in like a Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you build up a theme park and then enter as a patron, and it would be super fun. If anyone is currently developing that, take my money. Take all of my money. So what are my thoughts on Manor Lords? I think this game is relatively fun and enjoyable in the right hands, but to be honest, it's not for me. This again is more of a personal problem, since my attention span is the size of a goldfish. The game has been a new experience for me, and I'm sure a few civ builder enthusiasts will give me some guff in the comments about my opinion. Don't get me wrong though, I don't hate the game. I did find myself enjoying building up my village in more of the free play lower difficulty mode. I'm just a sucker for fast-paced multiplayer games. I think this game will be a great addition to the civ building genre, and is one to watch as it develops and gets closer to the official release. If you're on the fence about the game, I'd recommend trying it out on Game Pass if you have the subscription, because it's definitely worth the download. I just don't know if it's worth the full price. That's all I have on Manor Lords though. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, be sure to hit that like and follow button for more gaming news, reviews, and more each and every week.